Hi guys, I am Praneeth. I am from Physics After Engineering community.
Hi everyone, this is Prapti. Today we have Harshul Gupta with us who secured AIR 22 in JAM 20 and AIR 54 in JEST 20 Physics. He has opted for Physics MSc program of IIT Bombay. So today we are going to dive in his academic and personal journey from engineering to physics. Hi Harshul, can you introduce yourself?
Hi guys, I am Harshul Gupta and I am from Aligarh, Uttar Pradesh, and I have just graduated with an electronics engineering degree from Zakir Hussain College of Engineering and Technology, Aligarh Muslim University.
Thank you, Arshil, for joining us. Let's start the interview. So, how did you discover your passion for physics?
Okay, so my passion for physics it goes to my childhood days. You all must have remembered that media hype in our country regarding the starting of Large Hadron Collider in our childhood days that were framed as Maha machine, and when it will start, it will create some black hole and something, and the world will end. Yeah, so like every other student, I too was fascinated towards science from there on. And as the time grew up, I grew up and I started kind of inclined towards physics. And in our city, we have the Aligarh Muslim University, one of the top rated university in our country. So most of our parents want their children to study in their schools because there is something called internal quota for engineering in there. So if you have graduated there in 12th class, you will get a lower cut. You will have to clear a lower cutoff to enter engineering in there. So we during after the vacations in 10 after 10th class, we all used to prepare for entrance examination of the university. So during the time, I used to interact with teachers in the coaching, and I used to ask some weird questions with them, regarding why this happens, what is the reason behind this. And one day the teacher got fed up and scolded me that you should go to the research and research it on your own. I don't know the answer of this. So at that point, I decided that I should take up some stream that can help me to provide answers to my queries. So that's how I decided to end up choosing a research line. And also, the thing goes towards the JEE days, and in the end of the JEE days, as we all know, we have a subject called modern physics. You guys must have remembered that. And in that modern physics, there is a subject of quantum mechanics and relativity and Einstein level stuff. So that the way my coaching teacher taught me that, it really fascinated me, and I decided I should take this as my path. So this is how I end up loving physics.
Great. So how did you you loved physics? So how did you opt for engineering instead?
Actually, there is a tragedy behind every engineer in our country. So, while preparing for the examination, it is a kind of norm for everyone that PCM student will enter engineering, will prepare for JEE. So, majority of them does so. And to be honest, I wasn't really aware about the options that I can go into, or I have literally have to enter other than the engineering. And there was one called BSc, but to be honest, we all know that BSc don't have that reputation of engineering that engineering shares in our country. So it was kind of societal pressure, peer pressure, or lack of awareness or knowledge. I would say that I end up taking up engineering. But while in engineering, I assure that myself that I will take up a branch that is much closer to my love physics. It was electronics engineering because I have a subject called devices, electronics devices to be precise, in there, which deals with quantum mechanics and other related stuffs. So I decided to took up there that. So that was the reason I ended up engineering.
You chose electronics engineering, right? So, what were your plans when you chose electronics engineering about your future? And now that we know that you chose to write the JAM exam, how did you go about choosing electronics engineering and choosing to write JAM exam? I mean, it's not a typical path for a student who chooses engineering, right? He may go and write GATE or GRE exam and pursue MTech and PhD in their engineering degree. But you chose to go into JAM and just another physics streams. when exactly did you have this change of mind, and what was the process that you went into choosing this path?
Yeah, actually, when I entered the engineering part, I had a whole plan charted out to me that I will pursue MTech, give GATE electronics, and will go to some top IIT. Then after the MTech, I had decided to end up at PhD electronics and move into the research part regarding physics and related stuff. So I've actually talked to some seniors who have cleared gate and all. They have given me some beautiful plans. But then when the electronics engineering hit me hard, or the reality hit me of the electronics engineering in the later years of my course, I decided that it's not my cup of tea and I should move back to my original love, that is physics. So I kind of started Googling random phrases like, can an engineer pursue PhD in physics, especially as electronics engineer pursue a PhD in physics. And in my third year, I guess, I ended up at a Quora answer, which answered it that there's a examination called JAM, which I can give, and after that, I can pursue a MSc from an IIT. And since I will be switching to some core science subject, it would be much easier for me to end up at a physics PhD program in any university in India or abroad. So that is how I end up switching towards JAM. And one more reason was that when I got to know about JAM, I downloaded some previous year examinations of JAM. So when I looked to these questions, I found that they were quite really easy for me as a as a person who has prepared for JEE. It was quite easy for me to solve around 40% of the paper without even looking at the syllabus of the examination. So I decided that it would be much easy journey for me, which it was, that I should opt for JAM. So this is how I actually switched.
Okay, that was a nice answer. So, what would you recommend to the upcoming batch of students to include in their own preparation strategies? You have told your own strategy, right? So, if not your exact strategy, students who listen to your answer would like to take your advice and include some major points that you would stress upon so that it will be helpful for them. Would you recommend anything? And before you answer that, I'd like to ask you, how did you even get to know about the PAE community and how was it introduced to you?
Actually, for the preparation strategy, that moment when I opted for JAM, and exactly when I started preparing for it, there was a time gap of around 6 months because I was busy in the engineering. There was a placement season in our college. Then I had internship for about 2 months in Pune. So I couldn't actually gather my things to move towards the preparation. But meanwhile, and during this time, I had a friend in physics department of my university introduced me with a person in MSc, and he gave me all the study materials and stuff. And while I was in Pune for the internship, I was studying these stuff about these exams from this course. But I was lucky enough, I would say I had a good fortune. I ended up at a blog of, I think that was of Niket Shah, and how he secured a IR 6 in the JAM physics examination. And then I scrolled up to the entire blog post and other related blogs. And finally, I ended up at a WhatsApp link. So this is how I entered the PAE group, and where I could find people similar to me who are preparing for the exam and people who have cleared the exam and are currently in IT. So it was kind of reassuring for me that the path which I have chosen is leading to some fruitful result at least. So moving to the preparation strategy, I would suggest to all the aspirants who are watching this, they all should first at least take a printout of the syllabus that is available on the site of both JAM, JEST, GATE, whichever exam you are preparing. Take out the syllabus, divide it into different sections based on the units, assign specific time. I would say that the JAM syllabus had around 7 units something. So I assigned each unit a month. So this is how I divided the syllabus. Then I followed a particular pattern, went through the syllabus, arranged. I also arranged for a I would say, second-hand coaching material of career and physics coaching from Delhi GIT Sarai Market, and I started with it in around, I would say, mid of August, I started preparing for the exam with a whole heart. So, going to the strategy, I would like to say I chose mathematical physics as the first part that I will start. As we all popularly say, maths is the language of physics. And another reason was maths was something that we all have studied in the initial years of our engineering, and most of the topics were covered in those. So I decided I can cover most of the topics of mathematics easily and in a faster way because I have done practiced them earlier a year back or two. Then some thing went wrong in between, and some exams came in mid semesters, and I got a bit deviated. And what I've decided a month for mathematics ended up taking my 2 months of preparation time. But anyways, I had to continue with the next thing after mathematical physics I took up was classical mechanics because we all have prepared about it about classical mechanics in our JEE days and we have practiced really hard for it and it was something which I was really comfortable with after the maths. So it took me almost a month to complete that portion. The JEE notes and the package that I have bought really helped me throughout it. Um, so I've completed now two most important part of the JAM syllabus that make up around 30% of the syllabus or the 30% of the examination that we have in just 3 months. So now I had much less time left in front of me. So I need to decide on a particular and a specific order that can help me to finish my syllabus easily. So I decided that electronics engineering was something that I have studied in all these years and I can finish up very quickly. So I kept it for last because I know if I get a day, two, or even a week for it, I can finish it up there. The next thing I took up was electrodynamics because we have a subject called electromagnetics and microwaves in our electronics engineering. So we have some concepts covered in there, and there were few topics that weren't in there in the subject. But anyways, I covered them from the packages and different books I had studied meanwhile. And I would suggest that book of and Griffiths is really good for electrodynamics. Then moving to the next part is uh, after the electrodynamics, I took up thermodynamics and statistical mechanics, and there is no particular book out in the market that can be helpful exactly in both these subjects because these two subjects are of post-graduation level and require a detailed study in books. So I would say that you should refer to your JE notes if you have right now or some coaching packages that you might bought or you might be enrolled in some coaching. That would be enough for JAM level because JAM really asks very basic level questions from both of these subjects. After thermodynamics, I took up electronics because it was already January. Because in between I had to submit my final year project and for the end semester exams and other related formalities because I was still a student of engineering right now, now then. So I decided of taking electronics, and as I said, it was my forte. So I ended up doing it in just a week, I would say. And there is a part called solid state physics that was mixed with electronics. I would suggest there's a channel on YouTube called Ray Studies. That guy makes awesome videos regarding it, and you will just take 3 to 4 days to cover that whole subject of solid state by watching those videos. Towards the end, what I had was some waves and oscillation and optics. It was quite lengthy in content, but I would say that when you start studying these subjects, they are quite easy for you to cover and because there's involved various basic concepts from H.C. Verma and as a preparing for JE and as an engineer, we all are familiar with H.C. Verma and we can do it very easily and a very faster rate as you have done it previously also. So the waves was finished, and when I really started the quantum mechanics or the modern physics portion, I really had very little time. It was around some 20th January or something. I had to finish the entire quantum mechanics, nuclear physics, and we all know for a good examination strategy, you have to give some test series. You have to practice some questions. Otherwise, that all the syllabus you have studied is of no use. Then you cannot attempt the question in a proper time. So I decided to wind up this all this my syllabus remaining syllabus in just 2 or 3 days. For that, I pointed out or analyzed some previous year papers and started specify. I just marked out some topics that are really asked repeatedly in JAM that were like photoelectric effect, quantum effect, or some basics of nuclear physics there. So I focused on them, or the wave function particle in a box part, focused on these portions and just prepared for them and left the remaining useless, I will not say useless, extra or redundant part, and just rounded up in the entire syllabus there then and there in just 2 3 days. Then I moved towards revision, and towards the end of January, I just started taking the tests and the test series. So this is how I prepared throughout for the jam.
Okay, so Harshal, you are a full-time engineering student, right? So how did you manage your time with doing engineering as well as preparing for these competitive exams?
Actually, I was fortunate enough to be in a college where the classes run till 12 o'clock or at latest till 1. And we had just 2 labs a week. So I was quite free after 1 o'clock and every day. So I used to sit daily for 5 to 6 hours to study, the particularly for the jam. And as an engineer, it is a habit for us. We do not study daily for our exams. We just study a week before our semesters and usually pass them with good grades. There's nothing problematic in that. So I followed the same strategy. I didn't aim at scoring very good grades in my engineering. I just tried to maintain what I was doing. So continued the same strategy of studying before a week or 3 to 4 days before the semester exams. And coming to the project part, I would like to say that I was fortunate to find a very good partner as a project for the project, and we have already finished the project in our third year. So we really didn't have to complete the project exactly in a final year. We just did some modifications or changes to make it look like we are really doing it, but we weren't actually. So that's how I manage my time by from engineering to prepare for the physics.
All right. So now, how did you create your preparation strategy for JAM? And moreover, how did physics after engineering community helped you in that?
Yeah, actually, first of all, the practice makes the man perfect. So we have a bad habit, I would say, in engineering that we repetitively study few days before semester, and we actually pass it because the education system is so flawed. But for the competitive exam, this doesn't work. You have to study daily. At least you have to devote 5 to 6 hours. If not, then you have to devote 3 to 4 hours daily for the competitive exam. Other than that, I don't think you will be able to grasp the concepts of the subject. Apart from it, you should definitely choose a good test series. A good test series will help you practice good questions in a easier manner and in an efficient manner. You will prepare for your exams using that, and then make out a proper study plan. I've followed a particular order of subjects. You can follow your own order. It doesn't matter that you follow my order or copy it because it depends on a personal ability to grasp the subject or the person's ability that he is good in some subject, he's bad in subject, focus on something more, focus on something less. So that's how it all works. So you really need to, I would just focus study daily, make out some small notes out of it, what you study, write them down in copies or wherever you like to write them down, revise them, practice questions, practice a test series. That's how you will continue.
Okay, Harshal, apart from JAM, what other exams did you give? And how important do you think it is for students to join coaching centers to crack these exams?
Apart from GEM, as you have said in the intro, I gave JEST exam. Uh, for JEST, I came to know about that JEST exam through the PAE community only, and people told me that I should also appear for TIFIGS, but I couldn't appear because it was in December and I had my semester exam clash with it. So basically, I just gave JAM, JEST, and the GATE physics exam and not the electronics because people advised me the examination level was a bit harder than the jam, and if you are preparing for gate or jest, and if you can clear that exams, you can definitely clear jam. So it is like prepare for something harder. You can clear the exam that are a little bit less harder than the exams you're actually preparing. Personally, I I would I love not to get offended by it, but personally I would say that coaching centers are just waste of time and waste of money. At least for me, because I was a day scholar in engineering, I couldn't study these concepts in engineering throughout the day. Then after the engineering, if I go to some coaching center, if I join it, I will have to waste around 3 to 4 hours daily in a coaching center, and it would be around till 8 o'clock in the night. And after that, you will be tired like hell, and you cannot focus on self study after that. So I would advise, if you're a day scholar at least and not a dropper, you should go for the self study thing. But every person has different abilities. Like someone thinks coachings are better for them, they can go. But in general, for an engineer preparing for jam, I would advise do self study, take help from the buddies and pals studying in PAE and preparing for the similar exams. It will be a great help.
So, coming back to you, what about your future plans? What thoughts you have about the future of physics and in engineers? And what do you think about pursuing pure sciences and pursuing physics, and how society views both of them?
To be honest, I haven't narrowed down my exact plans to pursue, exact field of research or field of interest. I will definitely go for a PhD in India or either abroad, but I will explore all the different fields in my MSc and choose the one that suits me best, that I am interested the most, and I can do well in that subject. And coming to the portion that what other engineers can look into the physics, with this new education policy that we are adopting this year in our country, I would say the education has been liberalized to different sections of the society now. Now it would be much easier for the engineers to move or switch into physics, or even study physics as a minor degree side by side. And I think it would be much easier than me or my seniors, for you or for others aspirants, to study the physics along with engineering, pursue well this subject, do well in future. So I would say there are good hopes and good perspectives in futures for all of you.
So, finally, Harshul, any advice for engineering students like yourself and others as well who are in dilemma about their career paths? What will your advice be to the immediate aspirants of JAM?
Actually, a year back, I too was in similar dilemma, and PAE and this community in which I am right now helped me a lot resolving this dilemma. And we have actually, when I joined the community, I found many similar people preparing for it, and many people who have cleared the exam, and they were guiding us. And we had a solving group dedicated to solving problems of each other regarding the curriculum and the questions. So whenever any of us faced any problem, we simply used to click the photo of the question and just upload it there. We used to, and then my friends who were preparing for it used to answer it or try to solve it at least. And whenever they faced any problem, I tried to solve their problems. So that's how it built a competitive stuff or competitive environment around us to uh, practice more, study harder, give more time to jam, because I can see that there are many people preparing for it. So I should also prepare for it and not to take rest. And for the advice for the immediate aspirant that are trying to appear for 2021 examinations, first of all, I would say I will just brief up some points. And for the detailed description, I have written a blog of my entire preparation strategy, of what I followed, why I followed, how my interest switched, and how I got my interest, and what a person should do during preparation, about coachings and test series. You all can read my blogs. Okay, read my particular blog, and there are many other blogs of my fellows there, and with very good content in it. So basically, first of all the immediate aspirants at least should start making macro notes, not notes. Macro notes includes small formulae or basic definition that are frequent in exams. write them down on a small piece of paper in very small font, so that it might be helpful during the revision time, days, just few days before examination. Then there are, for problem solving, there might be some questions, since we are not in a coaching, there might be some questions that bother us and any of us couldn't solve them. So there is a beautiful app on Play Store called Doubtnut. On that you can just click the photo of the question, upload it there, and most of the answers you will get there. And various other apps and links are mentioned in my blog, and you can just find about in detail from there. Then taking up a good test series. But I particularly took career endeavors one, but my seniors advised me of two. Uh, One was of ABS physics, one was of career endeavor. So I analyzed both and took up the one with more questions, with more accuracy and less error free. But after all, there were a bit errors in it, but it's not the point. It's the point was, the more you practice the questions in a limited time frame, the more it will help you in the competitive exam. So take a good test series, give as many tests as you can, and don't cheat in the test series at least, because if you cheat in the test series, it will not help you at all. You are just fooling yourself, and you will end up making your fool in the exam. And for a good score in exam, you all should have a paper attention strategy. By paper attention strategy, I meant you should have. There are three sections in exam, and you should previously decide a proper order in which you will order, and not just I will just go and choose whichever question I would like to. It will just create a mess in exam. So my particular strategy was to finish first single correct type questions at first, all the 30 questions, because um, they were easier ones and carried 50 marks, I mean 50% marks of the exam. So once you finish them, you have secured 50% marks, at least attempt 50% of the paper. And then I chose for the NET, the numerical answer type. The reason was there is no negative marking in that, and few of the questions were of 2 marks also. So if you are even wrong in some questions, it won't cost you anything. But if you're right, it will give you double marks. And it was much easier to solve because the answer has to be one, only one, nothing more. Then at the end, if you have some more time or even less time, you can opt for MSQ. I opted for MSQs, means multiple select ones, because they are the most difficult part in the exam, because you have to match each and every option, whether it is correct, whether it is not. It will take a lot of your time. So what I thought, that let's finish all the easier parts before the MSQ, because it will take a time and waste my time for other questions. So that was the reason behind my strategy. And at last, take out time from your preparation strategy to relax enough. You need to relax, at least take a break of 1 hour daily, and watch anything you like. Spend your time in playing any sport, watching any TV series, anything you want. But you need to relax, and relax your brain, relax your mind, because relaxing your mind gives you a better opportunity to to like to remember the concepts more clearly, more better, in a more better manner. So that's my advice.
Thank you, Harshil. Thank you for joining us for this interview. I'm sure your insights are very useful for all the people that are watching. So, guys, remember he has a blog he written on the PAE community website. So, we'll be linking it in the description. Do check it out.
Thank you, everyone. If you like the channel, please subscribe.